Welcome, tireless tanglers. My name is Annie Reiser. I'm a certified Zentangle teacher and a certified botanical illustrator, and I'd like to welcome you to today's lunchtime tangle session. Today we're going to build on what we learned last week when we learned the tangle Cirque by Chris Geisner. I loved that little tangle so much that I just kept playing with it after class. And so I came up with a new tangle, I think. There are so many out there and I just really don't know if somebody else has done this one yet quite like this. It's really just a variation of Cirque. I'm calling it Sunny Cirque. And I am particularly interested in showing you about how to use some rotational ideas in your design. So this is Sunny Cirque right here. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. These are just a few examples of what I've worked up, and I also did one because I know you all love wreaths so much. I did just a Sunny Cirque wreath, nothing more than overlapping Sunny Cirques in a circle. So these are for your inspiration, but today we're going to just be using our regular white Zentangle tile to draw on, as well as just a 01 micron pen from Sakura, a soft graphite pencil. I think this is a 3B from Stettler. I always have my kneaded eraser for lifting my shading if I need, and then here's my tortillion or blending stump. So that's all we need today, and you can get creative with your backgrounds as you wish. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see exactly what I'm going to do. And I am going to start with just a string. I'll probably not complete my entire tile, but rather just show you the star of the show in the middle. So I'm going to make a little border. No need for it to be straight, as you know. And for this, and then I'm going to switch right over to my pen. And for the center, I am going to make it about the size of a nickel, I guess. So I do want it to be, rather prominent. You can trace your circle if you'd like with a template, but everything hand-drawn is always more appealing to me. So just like our Cirque, we're going to start on a circle, and I am going to pick a point, and I'm going to just start drawing my first petal. Last week it was the first flux-like petal. Just like with that flux, we're going to continue. We are going to try to hug this circle with our petals. So, but unlike flux, I am making this more of a sunflower leaf petal, almost like a leaf shape. Okay, and then I'm just going to rotate and start from this point here. Do the same thing. And just keep rotating until I get enough coverage with my petals. So I think I could do another one here. And I like to vary the size of these leaf shapes or sunflower shapes. As you can see, this one's a little thicker, this is thin. That's not bothering me at all. I like that, in fact. So now I'm going to just go back in there in here and add some more in between, just like we did with the flux Cirque. You could even add 2 if you needed to. Make your flower a little bit fuller. On this one, I think it's a really cool concept. I made my petals quite a bit larger and spaced so far apart that I actually had room to go behind, kind of like we do with halaba or vertigo, those tangle patterns. You see how they're going behind, and that drawing behind is always such a lovely concept. And this one is almost getting close to looking less stylized and more botanical, right? So this is the base of our sunny cirque, and as you can see, one thing I like to do sometimes, instead of using graphite to shade with, I use hatch strokes or pen strokes like we do in pen and ink and botanical illustration. So that's an example of that. But let's go ahead and continue with our pattern and finish. I want to make a little dot or a little circle inside the larger circle. You could just make it a dot if you'd like. And just, you know, play around with that. And then we're just going to make that kind of aperture opening here like we do on well. And I am going to, instead of making it go the same direction as the leaves, I'm going to vary that. I'm going to go the opposite direction. And then just keep circling around. To get these sections. And if I were going to do a whole tile like I did here, right, I would divide, I think this is a great design, to divide my string, make my string going yet in that opposite direction. So here we've got some spinning going this way with the leaves, spinning going this way with our center, and so I'm going to go in the opposite direction also with my string. So I would just kind of like bow out from centers of these leaves and just create some sections in which to fill in for my tangles. But so now let's do a little bit of lively line. I'm going to accentuate where this line met the circle, but just by putting that little weight on the bottom. It's basically nothing more than a triangle, right? And you can weight, you know, some of this. Weight a few of the leaf edges, those that are lifting up from the ones under it. So this one is lifting up from this section here. And that weighted line helps your eye discern that distinction. Could do one back here. You know, don't go outlining everything because that's like defeating the purpose of lively line. If you had a quill, you wouldn't even need to do that. It would be lively on its own. So I'm gonna show you how I would shade this with graphite, and then maybe I can do a little bit of the hatching on top to show you. But just like with our other shading video that I've done, we're going to want to shade where these petals meet at the bottom. Put a little graphite in there. This one's kind of big, so it's going to need quite a bit. Being really quick and dirty about this, you can shade rarely, mindfully, thoughtfully. I just want you to see where to load your graphite. And then I'm just going to take my blending stump and draw that out. And what I like to do is leave a bit of almost a halo here, a little bit of highlighted edge. So it appears as if that leaf is kind of folding in and the highlight, the light is hitting the edges, right? So you want to save out the edges and get darker towards that area where the petal is stemming from. And in the case of this here, we're going to just add a little graphite around here. I have enough on my tortillion to load it, and then some all the way around the edge to help pop that center and make it look three-dimensional. Kind of like our Zen buttons, really, if you've ever done a Zen button. If you want, you can kind of work that graphite up onto these swirl lines to help those look like sections that are lifting away from each other. Just makes it more three-dimensional. And as always, you know me, I go back in and add a little more graphite. I like my really dark darks and my really light lights. And then blend it back out. I do really like the Zentangle tile paper. It just is so lovely to shade. Very forgiving. Okay, so now I know on our Cirques, we did that line on the flux petal, right? And we're going to do that here too. So let's draw one prominent center line. I am not going to do the little dots. That's a bit stylized for me. I think this is looking more like a real little sunflower. And I'm going to instead use some eyelash strokes for some shading. See how this needs to be a little bit darker, so you just add that weighted line when you need. Follow that bow. Look how pretty that is. Already almost very realistic. And then you can go back in and do some flicking of your pen. We call that eyelash stroke. Just kind of feathering in some extra lines at the bottom, giving it some more shading. It's a nice nuance. You can also flick the other way, pull towards yourself. It's a lot easier actually. To just pull towards yourself rather than pull away, or push away, I should say. And that is pretty much Sunny Cirque. If you want, in here you can do some fun things, as I did here. I made some perfs to kind of almost look like, you know, a sunflower, just like I did on here. These are just kind of random perfs. These ones actually did follow this space that was given. So let's do some of those. So I would start, you can either start at the top, or you can, I often start, when I'm doing perfs in a section, I start the first one in the middle so that I kind of know where I'm going on either side. And of course, most important for these is filling in the space in between that we call an interstice, and that really helps the sphere pop. There are all kinds of treatments to the center that you could do, just like I showed you with the Cirque last time. I kind of did that on here. Here I just have the divisions. Here I have a printemps. Here I have that Trent width pattern that looks kind of like a cabbage rose. So you can do all kinds of things in there. If you do the little spirals, or not spirals, but perfs, you can go in and make a few of them into actual spheres. You really don't have to do everything because your eye fills in. And you do always want to save out some highlight. So that little inner circle became a perf on its own. Isn't that pretty? And then you can just take from here your colored pencils and go on top. This is called a grisaille, or an underpainting, a form drawing. And then you could also take a watercolor wash and it'd be really pretty. That's one of my coloring techniques. Or you can start on a colored background like I did here. And then my shading is done with just darker shades of the shades that are already given. And not graphite. You don't want to put graphite right on top of watercolor because you're going to get nothing but mud. As you can see, I did not put graphite on here. These are all darker shades of the yellows and the oranges, some umbers, some you know, just darker darks of the color that's already given there. So you just go to your pencil box, find the range of color, and just progressively layer up darker colors. And layering is everything. You can then pull out some highlights with white jelly roll, charcoal, or white colored pencil, and you'll have a really pretty little tile to play with. So enjoy filling in your string here and making your own sunny Cirque. Please do share your results with me. I love seeing how inspired you guys are and how you inspire us all. So share them on my YouTube channel, Annie's Botangle Alumni. Thanks for joining me. See you next week. That's it for today's Tangle. Thanks for joining me. If you like these lunchtime tutorials, please give them a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I also invite you to check out my website for classes that I have scheduled, or to purchase my Tangle tags for your favorite step outs. That's botangle.net. I'm leaving you with some other links too. Zentangle.com, where you can learn more about the Zentangle method from its founders, Rick Roberts and Maria Thomas. You can also visit their store there for a multitude of Zentangle paper tiles, tools, books, and kits. Tanglepatterns.com is that site I talk about, where you can explore hundreds of tangle patterns, read about them, and get the step out, which is basically the deconstruction of the pattern. And finally, if you'd like to share your beautiful results with me and my student community, please join Annie's Botangle Alumni Facebook page. We're a private group where we inspire each other with our work and offer tips and useful information about art and Zentangle.